Good morning. I'm Rev Rob Banaszak, and I'm the pastor of the Institute for Spiritual Development in Washington, D.C. And I am once again delighted that you have joined us here in this space. And believe it or not, this space is as real as any one that we can drive to or sit in or even walk out of. Because this is the space that is of our imagination. And with that imagination, we can be anything and everything we choose to be. And in this space, we are together, the Institute for Spiritual Development. Now, the Institute for Spiritual Development is a God-centered, spiritually inclusive, metaphysical church and community dedicated to our growing spiritual awareness in an atmosphere of unconditional love and acceptance. And I say to everyone here today, everyone watching either live on YouTube or the recording, first of all, hit like and subscribe. I say to everyone here, welcome home. And let us pray. All who wander, come rest here a while. All who wonder, allow me to beguile. Let's restore and revive. And in awe, let us strive to share our community as divine and alive. And so it is. And now let us recite together the Lord's Prayer Lamsa translation, which I will put up on our screen. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. Give us bread for our needs from day to day, and forgive us our offenses, as we forgive those who offend us. And do not let us enter into temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And now we will recite together the Declaration of Principles, the principles of understanding that unite us. And if you are newer to ISD, I invite you to perhaps sit back, close your eyes, and listen to the words as they're spoken. And if you're an ISD old timer, you might want to turn off your sound as Reverend Steve Evelyn recommended last week, and say the words clearly, confidently, loudly even. For these are the principles that unite us and that form the community that is gathered here today. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that infinite intelligence expresses itself in all existence and in humanity as a manifestation of divine love. We affirm the unity of all life everywhere. We believe in communion with all planes of existence and that meaningful communication flows from this connection. We affirm the divine right of each individual to seek the truth in accordance with their consciousness, and that living in harmony with that truth defines true spirituality. We affirm that spiritual unfoldment is progressive and unending, and that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the mandate, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the personal responsibility of the individual and that we choose our happiness or unhappiness as we apply the laws of the universe. We affirm that life is eternal and that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We believe the ultimate expression of God in our life is unconditional love of our neighbors and ourselves. We accept that the living gifts of prophecy and healing reported in all sacred scripture are an affirmation of divine spirit working through us. And now we're going to enter into what we call the wholeness and well-being part of our service. And I invite us all to silently take a moment to reflect on the people in our lives and the circumstances in our world that we would like to choose to send healing energy to. Just take a moment. And as you reflect, I'll pray, O divine healer, we faithfully believe that your loving embrace comforts us and our world. And we intuitively know that your restorative power is revealing wholeness and wellness to those names and circumstances in our lives and in the world we have reflected on. And now speak aloud. Infinite Spirit, love is the healer. Through love, all is healed. With love, all is whole. In love, all is holy. In unity as spirit forever. We realize our wellness. We realize we are well. Amen. And so this is the part of the service that we usually do a healing meditation during. As usual, I'm going to mix it up just a little bit. I'm going to open this part before the meditation with our lesson today, which is the reading and the homily. And so today's whole homily, the whole lesson is actually inspired by a card that we drew in our Wednesday evening meditation just this past week. And I use a series of cards called the contact cards. And they are cards that, they're oracle cards that are based in extraterrestrial language. So they each have, there's a separate set of suits. The suits include aliens and ships and stars and planets and crop circles, and they're gorgeous. And I have them right here, excuse me. So all of these cards and all of these suits contain information, just as other oracle cards do, about how we can live our life, and in this case, how we can apply some of this celestial language to our day-to-day lives. And so on Wednesday evening, we drew the card Black Hole. Now, the Black Hole card is part of the Stars suit. And so before we talk about that card, I want to just read a little bit about the Stars suit in general. As we gaze up into the night sky, we see what appears to be a field of small twinkling lights, all about the same relative size and intensity. However, with the aid of telescopes and space probes, we know that stars are far from uniform, and that many of those apparently single points of light are actually 2, 3, or more stars in proximity to one another. Stars range in size from dwarf stars, smaller than our moon and millions of times more dense, to red supergiants bigger than the diameter of our entire solar system, to the crushing singularities of black holes, so small as to be virtually without size at all. The dynamic life cycles of stars symbolize the cycles and outcomes of all the affairs of humans and every other being throughout the known universe. So when we draw a stars card, we are talking about a human experience, a human condition. Now, each of these beautiful cards is accompanied by its very own short story, which are just perfect readings for a service just like ours. And so we drew the black hole, and I'm going to put myself up with the card so that you can take a look at the card that we drew. There it is. And just close your eyes as you listen to the story, or you can look at the card and really kind of clock how you're feeling as you hear this story, how it may resonate with you, and what we might talk about after the reading. This book, this card deck, is written by Kim Carlsberg and Daryl Anka. The black hole was lost deep in concentration. He pondered and wondered and worried and wallowed within his thick cloak of darkness. Other stars found him aloof and withdrawn. It's true, he pretty much kept to himself, but it wasn't his fault. He had collapsed into this black introspection. It's just the way things were. No matter how the other stars coaxed him, he couldn't seem to emerge from his weighty shell. The black hole still faintly remembered what it had been like to be a brightly burning star, and he had shone hotter than most. But now, that life was over. One day, his great mass had come crashing in on itself with agonizing density. His days had dissolved into solitary singularity, with one moment no different from the next. And yet, he felt the inward tug pulling him toward, he didn't know what, but he was consumed with the pressure of expectation and the promise of great potential. Over and over, he reached out with his intense, gravatic grip to pull stray comets and asteroids into his inescapable web. He had hoped they might satiate his need to know what was happening and help him expand once again. However, all they did was add to his accelerating diminishment. Even light brought him no illumination. Depressed, he withdrew even further into his hermetical cycle. Finally, a tiny ray of hope sparked the very core of his consciousness. Perhaps, he proposed to himself, the only way out is to go further into myself. I've been searching for answers from the outside and have received only darkness in return. Maybe the light I seek is at the end of my very own tunnel, a passage to the other side of my being. Though he was full of fear, the black hole knew what he must do. He ceased fighting against the inexorable pull within his soul and spiraled inward at a dizzying speed. In an instant, he collapsed into a single point and disappeared from the universe he called home. In the next moment, his awareness exploded outward into a new and wondrous space. He had crossed a threshold into another dimension of being. He looked at himself, beheld his miraculous metamorphosis into a white hole, an unending fountain of energy and light. This reorganized self started filling the new universe with the essence of everything he had ever been, bursting forth in new combinations. Unlimited possibilities sprang into his awareness as he expanded, becoming more ethereal with each ecstatic second. He knew that his acceptance of himself was the key that had allowed him to be reborn and convert his own darkness into glorious light. And that was the story accompanying the Black Hole contact card written by Kim Carlsberg and Daryl Anka. So that's a great story, right? I love these cards. I love these cards. And I love this accompanying book. Every card is not just interpreted, but has its own unique short story. And this charming little tale has many levels and themes. And they probably seemed familiar as I read them. We've got the dark to light metaphor. We have to be willing to experience our darkness to reach our light. There's the theme of surrender. We have to have faith. We have to surrender to a greater good, to move through the corridors on our journey that may not be as well illuminated or clear as we would like. In fact, Reverend Steve spoke about this very thing last week when he talked about the Indiana Jones movie, where Indy had to step out over an abyss onto what seemed like nothing in order to have the bridge over the abyss appear to him. So he had to step out over nothing in faith for something that was already there to appear to him. So those are a couple of themes in this very short story, but the theme that really has fascinated me the most is about going within this universe within. And the idea that we're expanding when we go in. And I've said a lot of what I'm about to say before, but the drawing of the card on Wednesday really affirmed that this was something that I wanted to talk about again today. And I have told this story, but quite a while back, our friend and congregant, Son Martinez, when we were in our building, was giving me a healing, and he was taking me into a meditation as part of that healing. And he encouraged me, as we often do, to go inward. And as I did, as I was focusing on my heart chakra area, all of a sudden this image flashed into my head. And it was this image of the universe, only as seen through this space that was my heart chakra, as looking inward into this universe. I could feel its expansiveness inward. And this really felt like unlike every other experience I'd had before, trying to align in this way. Because the usual idea that I have of kind of connecting with divine, with aligning with that divine self, was one of sky that becomes space filled with stars and planets, and it keeps growing wider and wider and wider, like this ever-increasing set of concentric circles drawing around themselves beyond me, the expansive universe, right? And isn't this always where we've sought answers? Haven't we always tried to listen for the voice of God, for higher power guidance out here, up there in this amazing universe? The songs, the signs, the sounds, those guideposts, all sensory experiences where I've always sought this conversation with God. This is my higher power, right? And aren't I supposed to look to my higher self when I'm moving throughout my day? Isn't like that the gold standard, my higher self? Isn't my higher self the one closer or more closely aligned with my divinity or that higher power? So here's my issue. These terms seal this idea that to align and experience our best self, or even with the all, is to take us up and out. And actually, it's up and away. But what was the black hole's epiphany? Well, he was getting denser and denser as this big life transition was happening. It was weighty, heavier and heavier. It felt scary and unfamiliar and really uncomfortable. And not only that, he felt alone and lonely in this densifying state. So of course he sought relief. He sought answers from the celestial bodies around him, outside of him, like we all do. And then, in perhaps a divinely inspired shift of perspective, he realized that this relief from this thickening density and all the answers that he thought from that experience would come not from searching and longing for things separate from him to satiate him, but from listening to the only being that could possibly know what he needed to do. The only being that could possibly have the answer for him was him. So what does he do? Well, he stops resisting this expanding density. He gives into it. He stops seeking to satiate this discomfort. And yes, the weight of this density implodes in on itself. And what happens? He's thrust within. What does he find when he gets there? Well, he finds an entire universe, or the entire universe within him. A universe, the universe, where he is the light, he is the way, he is the very power he has been seeking. Like us, right? We're metaphysical. We know all about this power that is within us, don't we? I mean, I'm going to bring it up again. We've used the metaphor of Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz, many, many times. Dorothy travels to crazy places, has crazy adventures, only to discover that all that she needed to come home was the power that she had had all along. Tale as old as time. We're taught that as we embark on this metaphysical path, our intuition is our closest mechanism that we have as human beings to experience this voice of God, the divine, the source, the voice. And so we devise and we employ ways to help us access information from that voice. Prayer, meditation, oracle cards, pendulums, crystals. Trying to get information from that voice. But in our minds, really, aren't we still asking some being or deity external to us to do something that we can see, feel, hear, touch, that will inform or affirm that intuition? Let's try something together. We're going to do this a couple of times, so just sit tight. Silently to ourselves, let's invoke our idea of the divine as God, as source, as the force, goddess, however we identify that energy to ourselves, using whatever words we usually feel comfortable doing that with. Just close your eyes and begin a prayer and call out, like we often do, to that greater power idea. Father, Mother, God, benevolent goddess, infinite spirit, divine healer. Okay, open your eyes. What did you picture in your mind as you said those words? Probably some sort of exterior image, right? It's how we were raised. Let's try it again. Same words, whatever they are for you. Only this time, when you say them, focus on picturing you or your interior being that you know. It can't hurt, right? Close your eyes, and this time really work to focus on picturing you, Father, Mother, God, benevolent Goddess, infinite Spirit, divine healer. Okay, open. I don't mean the physical you. That would be ego, simultaneously feeling arrogant and completely unworthy at the same time as you try to picture your physical self with a tunic or a halo or a pair of wings or lightning bolts for hands, that higher you, you know, the one that everyone's looking up to. I mean the deep you, the essence that only you know and that only you needs to know. The presence that is expansive and eternal, the Spirit that is omniscient and omnipresent and omnipowerful in its own universe, which is, spoiler alert, the only universe. We're going back to this well one more time. Close your eyes. Can you do this one more time? This time after you invoke this deeper power, and stay focused on picturing you in some way. Ask this you, this deep self, a question, or seek a clearer understanding of something in your life as you once again focus going within. But now request an intervention into your day-to-day life. Let's do it. Close your eyes. Father, Mother, God, benevolent Goddess, infinite Spirit, divine healer, please help me understand. Share insight about blank. Lighten my burden as I blank. Okay, open. How does it feel invoking you as you ask the intervention from you? Can you imagine you as this presence, this essence? Can you imagine you having the answer or the response or the solution or the capacity to answer your prayer? Can you imagine you accepting the answer, response, solution, or capacity from you as your answered prayer? Can you accept that the voice within you is the voice of God? Can you accept that your infinite divine self, your eternal divine presence within, is the eternal divine presence? Because in my mind, the black hole's journey in this story is our journey to understanding our divinity. The black hole was burdened by the weight of its expanding density, by the discomfort of resisting that density, and by the fear of not resisting this density. As we learn about and reflect on our power, when we begin to realize that our power as divine power. And that in fact, our divine power is limitless in our own lives. Whew. We feel the weight of that responsibility. I can answer my own prayer. I've always been able to answer my own prayer. So naturally, we seek to offload that responsibility on entities external to ourselves. Hearing the voice from the outside. Always a rush. Always fun. But guess what? It was here before it was there. And so only when we can go completely within and discover that the voice of God we have sought without is our own voice within. And only when we can embrace our limitless divine power, which, yes, comes with limitless responsibility, but it's ours to claim. Can we become the light that is our birthright and our destiny? Now, ego will try to convince us that it's selfish to recognize that I am the divine one in my own universe. It sounds like heresy in some faiths. I'm the divine one in my own universe, which is the only universe. But in fact, the opposite is what is true. Because only when I can understand and embrace my own divinity will I be able to know you too are divinity. If I am, and so are you. And only when we do this can we understand the divine in and as all creation. And all by going within that expansive, unending, limitless universe. The little black hole had lots to teach us today. But what I want us to walk away with is, at least for a while, as long as we can, be conscious of every time we look up in prayer, that we choose to look in with those same words that we evoke spirit with. Can we do it? I think we can. Thank you. And so naturally, I want to help us seal this deal as we move forward. So let's get comfortable. Let's do this. Let's connect within. Let's align within. Because now it is time for our meditation. And so, as with all meditations, we get as comfortable as we can. You can turn off your screen. You can relax and get comfortable. Try not to fall asleep, but if you do, allow these words to wash over you during that time. And we're going to go deeper into meditation just by focusing on that breath. This breath is going to anchor us where we are right now so that we can journey into our deep self. So let's pay attention as it enters our body, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Once again, inhaling and exhaling. Now we're going to, for The next few seconds, gently pay attention to that breath with intention. Breathing in and out. And with each breath that we inhale and exhale, let's imagine ourselves, our physical selves, becoming more and more transparent. So with every breath, our physical self just fades ever so gently. It is still there. We are still there. Our breath is allowing us to go on this journey. We find ourselves focusing on where our heart chakra would be on our physical body. And we see a pinpoint that is so dark, like a big ink spot there where our heart chakra would be. And as we focus on that little black hole, we feel its pull. We feel its density drawing us, our essence, into it. More and more, we can feel that presence. Being sucked into that hole. More and more. And as we're in that hole, we feel what would seem like time speed up faster and faster. Like we've just entered into a wormhole, taking us faster and faster through a tunnel that we can't see, that we can really only feel. More and more quickly. Tumbling and swirling. It's almost like being on a water slide or in a water chute in the physical world that we remember. Faster and faster and faster. And as we increase that speed, we suddenly find ourselves thrust into an expansive universe of stars and planets and celestial bodies thrust out into the comforting, silent, inky atmosphere. And here in this space, we've come to the other side of ourselves. It's silent. And yet the voice that we hear, that we've always heard or felt as the divine, is what we realize as the voice from within. Just for a few moments, in this expansive universe that is deep and eternal within, we allow that voice to speak through us, to us. Is it answering the question that we had earlier? Is it offering us new insight? Is it showing us clarity that we've been seeking? Is it simply giving us the encouragement that we need to do or be what we need to do or be? Humbled and moved by this voice that has always been with us, that has always been communicating with us and through us. We begin to feel this power. And we know we may have to come back here to feel it again and again, to align with it, to accept our divinity. But we choose now to return to our physical selves, knowing what we know, and knowing how we can know and understand and be even more. And so with our voice that we share with our voice, we say our farewells, knowing that we are always aligned, and we choose to return to our physical selves, which we can do so easily by just feeling that breath, yes, as it has come in through our nose and fills our body. And as it fills our body, we begin to imagine our body fading back into its physical space. It's always been here. We feel that breath filling that body and exhaling. We choose now to return completely by inhaling quickly and exhaling. Inhaling again and exhaling quickly. And then on the last breath, let us open our eyes together. Inhaling and exhaling. You see, we don't even need to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos to go to space. Guess what? Space is right here. And I thank you all for taking that journey, for trusting me to lead you through that journey today. It is now time for the prosperity portion of our service. And as you have likely been doing on this journey throughout our service today, I'd like you to think and focus on the abundance of all the gifts in your life. And just allow yourself that deep appreciation for all of that abundance. Because when you do, you understand, and we can proclaim that divine love always has and divine love always will answer all of our needs. And you all know this by now, all of the regulars. If you are regular, you can make your weekly offering through our virtual collection plate, which I will put the link up here for all of us. All you have to do is click through in the chat and choose your donation. It's also time for renewal of your membership. And so we've had some questions about this. You can also renew your membership in this way. And I really encourage everybody to, if you're going to renew your membership using this link, to do it twice so that we've got two separate transactions for you. We've got your join or renew at your family rate or your individual rate. And then go back if you wanted to choose a monthly donation as a recurring and go and choose that one specifically, which may not be as much or maybe more than those individual membership rates. So join first and then go back if you want to make your recurring donation as one of the other amounts that you can select for yourself. And once again, I thank you so very much. All of ISD's leadership, our board and our ministers and our ministerial students, thank you so much for this support. As we move forward in our new way of being, all of your support is going to help us figure out how we program, how we educate, how we connect, how we gather as a spiritual community. So thank you so very much for this. And of course, we always take the time to give thanks, and let us pray. We thank you, O divine Father, Mother, who were you picture, for the chance to start anew, for the opportunity to recreate, reinvent, and reimagine. With that wellspring of gratitude, we experience this gathering as we celebrate our rebirth as individuals, as a thriving spiritual community, and yes, as divinity. We thank you now for what is in the present and what is to be, and so it is. And just a few announcements. I do like to talk. We do have our board meeting today. Our Board of Trustees meeting is taking place after the service today, probably about 10 minutes or so after we're done, so that we can all so that I can gather myself and come back and return. But we are using the same link for this meeting. So you can just stay on. If you want to go grab a snack or go to the bathroom, you can just put your, take your video off and put yourself on mute, and then just come back here. And when you see us all gathered, our President, Reverend Steve Evelyn, will begin the meeting. So take a few minutes after this service. You don't even have to sign off. Just, do what you need to do, and then join us, please. Everyone is encouraged. All congregants are encouraged to be a part of this experience. You are encouraged to join and renew your membership so that you can be voting constituents at our annual convention in January. But between these times, joining in the meetings, sharing your voice, that voice from within, which we now know is all of our voices, so that we can help shape and create together what this community is going to be as we move forward. So again, do join us sometime after the service, probably around 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so. We do have our evening meditation this coming Wednesday. And again, like now, all you have to do is show up, click on a link, sit back, and just go where you want to or need to go in the stillness within yourself. Saturday the 27th is our spiritual gifts share, and I'm going to allow Reverend Fran the opportunity to speak, but let me allow her to unmute herself first and just talk about a little bit what's coming up. This is our first in-person one, or our first one of these for a while. She's been doing this consistently for a very long time now, probably almost 4 years. So Reverend Fran, talk a little bit about what we're doing this week, and let me spotlight you too.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we are going to focus on sensing and exploring yourself, sensing your physical world and sensing the spirit world. So we will be talking, and in deep meditation, we will explore. So please come join us. That's this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. until noon, and we'd love to have you with us.
Thank you, Reverend Fran. And for all of you that are asking about the link today, I will fix that and get that up before the end of the service. So thank you again, Reverend Fran. Thank you for all that you do. I never got a chance to thank her a couple of weeks ago for doing a yeoman's duty in navigating our service when I was away for the weekend, and the many readings and healings that Reverend Ken was doing. So thank you publicly. I am so grateful for that. So also, we will have our final book discussion circle. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but we all decided that we've got one final chapter to talk about in the Celestine Prophecy. Most of us have read it. If you haven't, all you got to do is find a copy of it and read the final chapter, because that's what our last session is going to be about, which is the 9th insight. There are 9 in the Celestine Prophecy proper. And again, our discussions have really been a lot of fun. We had a lot of really positive support as we started to wrap up this past year. So please join us on Tuesday, December 7th. So it's our final one, December 7th. And you should all just read that last chapter, or come ready to read it aloud, because we do post the chapter words on the screen so that you can read if you don't have the book. We will also be having, as we did last year, our all ISD Christmas Eve service. Mark your calendars for that. It's December 24th at 7:30 p.m. Your favorite ministers and ministerial students from our ISDs in Sparta, New Jersey, and Treasure Coast, Florida, and Oneonta, New York, and will be Madison, New Jersey, will be on hand to rejoice and to celebrate and to offer metaphysical perspectives on the scripture readings for the Christmas story. So Reverend Jim will be leading our team of ministers in that effort. So please join us, 7:30 p.m. We are going to have the link posted. If you're going to be joining via Zoom, we're going to ask you to register so that we can staff who's coming in and out of the meetings to avoid any sort of hacking situation. So if you sign up, you'll be sent a link, and then we'll let you in as the service happens. Or you can click on the YouTube Live link and watch it as you wish on the YouTube Live channel. So join us Christmas Eve. And then just a few more things. Mark your calendars. We'll talk more about these later. First in-person service, Sunday, January 2nd, is going to be at the Palisades Community Church. We'll have all this information up on the web when we firm up the activities for the service, but it will be taking place at noon at the Palisades Community Church. It's right around the corner from where our ISD building was. So your travel experience should be virtually unchanged. So please join us for that. We're going to be doing our in-person services on the first Sunday of every month, at least through April. So looking forward to seeing you all, hugging you all, and sharing our experiences together once again. Also, our Reiki share is returning. So excited about this. Sylvia Raid has agreed to do our Reiki share on the 4th Wednesday evening of every month at 7:30 p.m. It's exciting time. We're, of course, expanding to remote healing, which is just as wonderful and as possible as it is when we're in person. So thank you, Sylvia, for doing this. Mark those calendars. We have Wednesday evening meditations, the first 3 Wednesdays, at least for now. And then on the 4th Wednesday comes our Reiki share, that you don't have to be a healer. You just have to believe in the healing, or have to want to learn more about the healing to join in and receive the beautiful benefits. So please join us then. And then finally, on February 19th, very excited to welcome a new instructor, a young and extremely enthusiastic man named Garrett Jackson. He is going to be leading an Intro to Shamanism workshop. It's for free. He is bringing some of his community into the space, and we're bringing some of our community through our website into the space, and hopefully gathering and finding some synergies there as we learn just an overview about shamanism, and inform Garrett as to whether that might be something we might want to dive in a little deeply with a little bit later on. So please join us. It's free. You can register for all these things on the website, and looking forward to seeing you all there. and returning to our order of service, we are going to say the Prayer of Stewardship today as our congregational prayer. And let us do that together. Oh, ignore my little card there. Infinite Spirit, at this blessed gathering today, we celebrate the divinity of all that is. We honor the Institute for Spiritual Development as a living entity brought to extraordinary life by the presence of everyone here now, by the essence of the ancestors who have gone before us, and by the imagination of the souls who will come after us, carrying her into the future. We ask you to give us strength to heed her call of stewardship so that together we can make her who she was created to be, a beacon, guiding all spiritual seekers to a deepening connection to the divine within. May we always encourage, inspire, and energize one another in sharing our gifts and talents and resources to ensure that our spiritual community's life, longevity, and legacy. And so it is. Excuse me. Can't believe I went this long. All right, guys, it is time for Affirmation of Spirit and Messages. I'm going to put on my gallery view and ask you to, if you are interested in receiving a message, please make your video, or please turn your video on and leave it on. Don't just pop it on and turn it off. I want to see your smiling faces. I want to make that connection with you. We want to keep these lines open as much as possible so that we can show you that they are as powerful via the internet as they are in person. All right, Lorraine Johnson. Okay, your video wasn't on legally, but I missed you and I went to see you. And so let us take a breath together. And I am I'm seeing do you remember the Teletubbies? They kind of speak nonsense. They're kind of kids characters. And they do utter what seems to be like nonsense, but I see you as I'm seeing one of the purple ones. I don't know their names. But what I'm getting is that I think you're in a situation where you may be sharing information that seems and feels like it's coming out as gobbledygook or as nonsense or as baby talk. But in reality, it's not being coded correctly to its receiver. So as the communicator, you have to come back and take a look at that communication and figure out how to encode it so that it is being received by by its intended audience, if that makes sense. So think about if you're speaking or if you're giving a Zoom talk or if you're getting a blank look when someone is hearing you or listening to you tell them something, that perhaps it's time to go back and kind of recode the language. Don't change yourself, don't change what you're saying, but certainly try to recode it so that it is being translated in its proper way so that it can be heard by the person that you're intending to hear. So thank you. And it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
Wendy Harnick, hello.
Hey Rob, so great to see you.
Me too. So this is all about the expansive universe today, and
I loved your
extraterrestrial
service today. Absolutely wonderful.
So let's go there. So I'm seeing the opening credits of the Jetsons. And, so you are you're coming, you know how they had everyone got their little spaceships as George sent them all off. And I'm seeing you as his boy Elroy. So you're that little kid You're that little boy who just got assigned his little spaceship and is now soaring off now to school, or maybe to do some make some fun mischief. So I think this is your time to play a little bit in the universe that you have created for yourself. It may feel like there's not a lot of playmates for you there in this little capsule that you're in, but you know what? Just step on the gas and go a little farther, go a little higher. There's nobody else to sit shotgun with you and like say they're getting sick. This is really your time to play in the universe that you are creating so beautifully for yourself. You know, see it with the eyes of a child, see it with the fearlessness of the little boy character, and just go for it. And, you know, ride on. That's what I say. So his boy, Elroy, that's you right now. Okay.
So inspiring. Thank you.
Reverend Martha, may I come to you?
Yes, of course.
And if you want to plug your red envelope, which I see you're holding there before I talk to you.
Absolutely. Just to remind everyone, we're coming up on the end of the year, so please make sure that your contributions for the $1 a day for November get completed at the end of this month, and then also in December. And remember that all of these contributions are tax deductible, and it will be part of your 2021 tax charitables. So just a reminder to do that and keep the church in mind. And it's very special that you have participated in this. I appreciate it. The church appreciates it, and it keeps us going every day in very special ways. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Martha. So I am seeing for you, planet Saturn, lots of rings. So I feel like I'm seeing a very adorned and seasoned planet that is wearing her finest rings and adornments and belts and necklaces. And what I'm feeling from you is, or what I'm feeling from Spirit is this need to say to you, you know, all these things that embrace you as the rings do are not, they're not binding. And so what you've done is you want to contain yourself in these rings, but you want to remember that none of them are binding. And so you've created them around you so that you have a sense of safety and security and confidence to move through your world. But do not let them constrict you. Do not let them convince you that you've got to pull the notch a little tighter wherever they are. So as planet Saturn, you know, go through and know that you've put a lot of insurance policies in place, a lot of checks and balances in place, and they are to help you actually expand, not constrict you. So remember, those rings are all about just reminders and signposts along the way to expand yourself within.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Reverend James DiBiasio, may I come to you?
By all means. Thank you.
So, yeah, so I have the cards in front of me, and I didn't pull the card, but the card that I saw for you, which I just found, is a supernova. So
Thank you.
So this is a big card. So it's like, your expansion is an explosion. And, as we go inward, so do we explode outward. And I think you have this opportunity of spreading this illumination so far beyond you that will exist as it does light years after you. So know that whenever anybody's receiving this information, this insight, this presence of you that is eternal, that, it's reaching far beyond anything we can conceive of our mind as time or space. It goes beyond you. It lives forever. So, your supernova expansiveness has exploded already. It is in play. And all of us here are receiving it, and all of the universe beyond where we are now is receiving it. And so please, just Spirit wants you to know that that supernova energy is going on and on and on beyond us, beyond ISD, beyond any of our material world, to greaten the universe and our own humanity. So supernova, go for it.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Claudia, may I come to you?
Sure, please. Thank you. If I get the mute button to work.
Okay, so as I was looking at you, what I was feeling was this. I'm going to stick with my kind of space imagery today, but it's almost as if you were one of the young girl characters on a space family show like Lost in Space. Has the character of Judy and Penny's kind of like a smarter one. She's the middle child, so she's kind of like the Jan Brady of Lost in Space family, but she is very wise and she's knowledgeable. She's kind of seeking to find her place. And so as you kind of wander through your own universe, through your own spaceship, with your own knowledge, you are still looking, often as a middle child does, for that space to claim as your own. This is not an unusual thing and it's not a bad thing. But just know that it's okay to feel a little uncomfortable in this space. You do have all that you need, you do have the knowledge, and yet you're still learning more and more and more. It just might take the world a little time to figure out where it might invite you to be, if that makes sense. So it is with the eagerness and with the knowledge and with the quickness of somebody who's young, somebody in their teens or preteens. But that, you just hold on to that knowledge and you keep sharing what you need to, and your space will appear as it is supposed to. So.
Wow. Thank you. That's amazing.
All right. I'm going to break up the couples today. Reverend Fran, may I come to you?
Please.
Hello, darling. Oh my. So, what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing one of these really fun old time sci-fi movies like The Queen of the Universe. And so I'm seeing it's in black and white, and I'm just seeing you just coming down this big kind of Busby Berkeley staircase, and this big, one of those high collar things, and one of the little close fitting skull caps. And you've got this scepter as you walk down, really as whoever, Frenonia, Queen of the Universe. And so this is something that you're stepping, you're stepping off of your throne and your podium to come down and to exchange and to experience the world around you. So the royalty is there. Your leadership space is part of your nature and is part of who you are. So what I think we're seeing is this need for the ethereal to kind of play with with all of the little beings that are around her. You're going to find a lot of little alien beings, young, old, new, aged, and these are your people. And so continue to bring them in to your fold. And I think that you'll find that your reign as the queen of your universe, which is, as we've said, the only universe, to be much more rewarding for yourself. So allow yourself to be the leader, to be with your people, and then to be the leader again. So all hail. Reverend Steve, may I come to you?
Yes, please.
So, oh my gosh. So Disney, Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. This is your journey right now. So buckle up that suit, And remember that the operative word for Buzz Lightyear is not infinity. It's beyond infinity. And so that requires even more expansive thinking than we have been talking about today. So whatever whatever boundaries that feel infinite to you, it is your duty that you're going to kind of break through. There's going to be kind of a gelatinous, opaque atmosphere thing that you're going to have to actually push through in that beyond to become realized. And it may take something spiritually that may take you out of this comfort zone and beyond. So it is going to require some introspection and reflection, much as the black hole had to go to this infinity and beyond. But just, put that helmet on. You got plenty of oxygen. You got everything you need to make this journey. And I don't even think you're going to need a spaceship for this one. I think you're just going to go. Like, I think the suit is kind of self-contained. So have fun. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to get killed because we've got a board meeting. So I'm going to conclude my messages for today, even though they're all buzzing in my head. I thank you all so very much for being here today and for allowing me to share with you gifts of spirit. And so let us return to the order of service, if I may. And so we'll play our prayer of closing together. Let us pray. O source of all, we draw closer to you as we go deeper within ourselves while expanding our connection to each other. As we have learned to hear your voice as signs and guideposts from without, help us to learn and hear and understand the voice within also as your voice. Help me to know, feel, and express the divine me. Help us to know, feel, and express the divine we everywhere and throughout all time. And so it is. And our benediction, O divine presence. As we continue on our life's journey home to one heart, may we always experience wonder, value kindness, cultivate empathy, promote peace, be love, everywhere, for all things, and for everyone. And so it is. And y'all can come off and have some fun with each other. We'll see you back here for the board meeting.
Rob,
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to be at the board meeting, and I'm just, disappointed because I have to do a service here where we live.
So we will record it for you, Martha, so we can send you the link to the recording.
Yeah.
Okay? We'll miss you. I'm going to go get something to drink. I'll be right back.
So should we just, I want to know how much the annual fee is.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're going to just have maybe a 7 or 8 minute recess and then start our board meeting. Welcome.
So should we just go?
Bye, Jim. Have a good week.
Should we leave?
Hey, Reverend Martha, your voice is really faint.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was saying,
Can't hear.
I was saying bye to Jim because I have to leave the meeting and get ready for.
I'll tell him I don't think he heard you. Looks like he's taking a break.
Should we
That's
just
okay.
Yeah. Like right here. Should I say leave?
Thank you. Bye-bye.